Whoa. All
So
right. We just finished watching episode 5
Yes.
of Night Country.
We found out late that they aired it early due to the Super
we
Bowl
had
constraints.
no idea.
Yeah. Didn't know.
I really think that there's just nothing. Nobody cares about this season, and
I'm just surprised no articles popped up on my feed, because they usually do after an episode airs, because everything is listening and knows that I'm watching the show.
Yeah, all of it's listening in. Anyway, so we're going to continue on with Night Country season 4 of
True Detective,
because we started it, so we're going to finish it.
There's one more episode after this.
Apparently. Okay, so yeah, episode 5 aired apparently on Thursday. This is Saturday. Tomorrow's the Super Bowl. I don't know if we're allowed to even say the word Super Bowl, but I know there's
why wouldn't we be allowed to?
Oh, the NFL cracks down on people saying the word.
Oh, okay.
Apparently, I don't know, because it's copyrighted, I guess.
Mega cereal holder.
Sure. Cereal holder. Okay.
Yeah. Mega, though.
All right.
Okay.
So, episode 5, overall, before we get into the details, overall, it's just a slog all the way to the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then it's interesting. It's finally interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I actually said, as we were watching, I'm like, okay, episode 5, it's about time.
I said, how much time do we have left? How long has this been going on?
You literally were done.
I was feeling like nothing. I'm just not enjoying this. All right, so let's dive into the important stuff.
Okay, but first, can we say that it feels like watching every scene in this season, especially the last 2 episodes, it feels like every character is doing something that doesn't make sense for their character or anyone to do.
Yeah.
Whereas we just recently binge watched season 1 again, and every scene, every single character is doing exactly what you think that character would do in that moment.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, I never really questioned about pretty much anything in season 1.
And that's given with all the bizarre shit that people did and said in that season. You're like, oh yeah, that's who he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see why somebody would say these things. Some of those like crazy people they interviewed, like about Carcosa, and they're like, Carcosa, yes. And I'm like, yep, I can see the weak-minded talking like that, having met easily influenced people. So, okay.
Yeah, so it's okay. Let's get through.
Let's get into it.
Let's slog through.
We started the important stuff from my notes. So, the most important thing at the top of the episode was we're at the lighthouse. Liz is with Otis, who is the engineer who survived from
the one-eyed engineer who survived some incident.
Yes, he has both his eyeballs, right?
Yeah,
but
can't
see.
One's
They're
messed
wonky.
up. Yeah.
Liz is like, how did you survive your injuries? Questioning the relationship with Clark.
He thought that Clark was crazy.
Yes.
And he's also a heroin addict now. But he described an event from 30 years ago where there was a cave-in and a bunch of guys died. But there was also screaming.
Yes, there was a blizzard. There's screaming, howling, and then nothing.
Yeah, and so as a result, my take on this was that this is the same event or similar event to what caused the Salal guys to go crazy and die in the snow, and Otis is just on the periphery of this, so he didn't get as damaged and injured or whatever as the other guys did. So he survived. That's what I think he's telling us there, and he knows how to get into the ice cave. So that's what Danvers wants: is how do we get in? You're going to take us. He says, I'm not going to go if I'm not high. Yeah. She's like, I'm not going to get you heroin. Of course, later she does.
Yes, spoiler alert.
Well, hopefully you've watched it or not.
Yes. Next important moment, kind of just a small one. Peter's wife, Kayla, kicks him out.
Totally unearned scene. There's no reason for this scene. This is a dumb scene, and it's been dumb. This relationship has been dumb.
Yeah, I mean, you get busy sometimes with your work, and I feel like he hasn't even been that busy. We've seen him with his kids sometimes.
And I'm just going to keep going back to season 1 and saying, like, when Marty gets kicked out, He's totally earned getting kicked out. We see exactly why he's getting kicked out. We know why. It makes sense. I'd have kicked him out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And that's what you can say about every character in season 1 is I would have done that. If I was that person, I would have done that. But in this freaking season, it makes no sense. So, okay. Sorry, he gets kicked out. Ends up going over to Hank's and hanging out with Hank for a night.
Yes.
Yeah.
A quick note about Leah. She goes to the protest. She gets beaten up by a cop and taken in by Navarro. And they book her for the night.
Very dramatic, but pointless.
Yeah. Okay, let's keep going. The next thing I'd starred were Liz gets taken in to the mining office.
Yeah.
She gets called in.
She's the chief of police, and she's called to the mining office. The lady who runs the mining office, and her boss, Liz's boss, Connolly, is there. And then he allows the mining lady to question his own chief of police, who doesn't have the luxury of saying, this is an ongoing investigation. I'm not going to answer your questions because fuck you.
Yeah.
You know, like, so another stupid scene that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. The only thing that she brings up is that company that's bending her pollution, the mining company's pollution.
She basically Liz basically lays her cards out on the table, which is another tactically stupid move because now they know what she knows, which is they've been covering up their own pollution stats by supplying money to the Salal research lab.
Yes, and somehow Tuttle United is involved.
Which makes no sense.
I know. It's upsetting to bring Tuttle into this, I'll be honest. Why would they wouldn't be involved this far out?
I feel like the Tuttle Industries that we knew from season 1 were in the low teens of the millions of dollars of enterprise, you know, but the company that we're hearing about is in the $1 trillion area. You know, it's like, how...
And it was so religious based. So I'm kind of surprised, like, science? That seems very wrong to fund.
And it was religious based, but it was basically in order to basically, you know, fuck a bunch of underage girls.
Yeah. Okay. But I mean, you know, they had all those schools and all the mixed ministries. All right. So after this office meeting...
Kids, not just girls.
Yes, Anyways. It was kids in general. Let's keep going, please.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm not happy about this
episode. After the office, we find Hank and the mining lady in the car. And the mining lady is like...
You got to kill Otis.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to say it, but she says it.
Yeah. I'm not a killer.
So he's in the pocket of the mining company, Hank is. Which I suspected, but...
They talk about the money they gave him is gone, and he wanted to be the chief of police, and they're like...
So she promises that she'll make him chief of police after he takes care of Otis.
Which I'm assuming is also maybe taking care of Danvers.
She's very concerned. Well, she doesn't actually... They don't even actually address Danvers at all in that conversation, really.
I kind of assumed it was like, kill them both. They can't make it to the cave. Because that's what they're trying to...
She's really scared of them finding the cave.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Okay, Navarro. She's gets to meet this guy named Kenny that Kavik brings to her. He has seen those spirally stones before, and they were used for warning hunters away from thin spots in the ice where you could fall through.
Yeah. So it was a warning for the ice caves, which gives her the idea, this is how we can get into the ice caves, because they'd seen that the entrance to the caves had been collapsed or whatever. So now she's like, I got it. I know how we're going to go in.
Which I felt like took away from what the spiral meant in season 1. Which I don't know if we ever was clearly defined. The
spiral was definitely not a good thing.
No. And yes. I mean, they're taking it as a warning, and okay, it doesn't matter.
Like indigenous people or people who knew the area would put the spiral someplace to prevent other people from stepping on weak spots in the ice.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
Okay.
So then we are at the office. Liz tells Navarro the case is over.
Liz is scared because Connolly confronted her about Wheeler, that he knows something about Wheeler and how it wasn't a suicide, yada, yada. So now she's scared.
Yeah, so it's over. It's all over. Time to let it go. My next star, we learned a little bit about Hank and Pete's background. Pete was skating on frozen water and fell through, and
as a child, yeah,
and Hank had to use an ice pick and get him out.
And it's just a way to get us prepared for a scene that's going to come up later, because they haven't really established any kind of relationship between these two characters. You know, we've never thought there was any kind of great family connection there.
Yeah, I thought maybe there would be with the singing that Hank did earlier. I thought, maybe we'll see a little something.
Nope. They basically just...
I wouldn't mind seeing more of that relationship, but yeah, okay. Let's keep going. Before
they didn't establish it.
I don't get to...
We're already episode 5 and we haven't established this relationship.
And we won't get to establish it ever again. Rose helping Navarro bury Julia on frozen water, frozen ocean.
Yeah, they go out on the ice because they've got an urn full of Julia, and they're going to put her in the water, so they have to break through the ice a little bit and then spread her out there. And then Navarro starts hearing voices that are calling her to the ocean. So she starts walking out there, and Rose has to save her from cracking ice.
Yeah, because it started cracking. And there's a Category 4 storm coming, according to Rose. What
does that even mean?
What does that mean? We'll have to research what that means in Alaska.
Sure.
Okay, then a bunch of stuff happens. Liz finds out that there's been 9 stillbirths in the past 3 months. She goes
stillbirths. You're saying it too fast.
Stillbirths, yes. She goes and visits the dead babies in that room. She goes and gets some evidence back from the office.
Okay, let's slow down. All right, what you just said, good Lord,
okay,
was that there's been, and Leo's the one that told her this.
Yeah. In
the past year, there's been...
I wrote 3 months.
3 months. The past 3 months, there's been 9 stillbirths in the area. So this is one of the reasons why the protesters are angry, is that they think that the water supply is being poisoned, the air is being poisoned, whatever, by the miners. And so she just gives her that fact. Danvers goes and checks it out, finds the coffins where they're kind of keeping them because they can't break the ground yet to bury them. But yeah, so that's verified now.
Yes.
But then she shifts gears again. There's so many shifting of gears. It's like a back and forth. What are you doing now? What the fuck is she doing now? What are you doing now?
My notes are so crazy because it's like location,
it's like
location.
Every scene is just like bam, bam, bam. I'm doing something different now. I'm doing something different.
They only last like 30 seconds. It's nuts. So yeah.
Okay, so then she goes to the evidence room to steal heroin, which I knew that's what she was doing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, that's a throwback to season 1 when Russ goes in to steal the cocaine.
Yeah, she's motivated now to do this thing, whereas before she had stopped, and now she's like, no, we do have to investigate. She leaves the evidence room, and Hank has been following her. That's important to note, I guess. He's followed her wherever she goes. But she
doesn't know.
She doesn't know, but he appears creepily, and she's like, did you talk to Connolly?
Which I thought, okay, that was the most brilliant line of the whole of the whole season, because she's all about asking the right question, right? And so that's the perfect question to ask him. Did you talk to Connolly? And his reaction tells her everything she needs to know. I'm like, okay, there's Liz Danvers, the genius detective, figured it out instantly. Why couldn't we get more of that earlier?
Yeah.
Okay.
So she calls Pete into the office immediately after and was like, what's your password to your computer? Your dad knows. And
they figured out that basically Hank's been meddling with the evidence and has told Connolly, and has also, therefore, I'm sure, told the mining lady that we've got something on Navarro and Danvers now. It has to do with the fact that the suicide was faked because the guy was left-handed as opposed to right-handed.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Danvers gives Pete a key to her shack, so he doesn't have to stay.
Oh, because at this point they realize that Hank's the traitor, untrustworthy. Yeah, and so he's staying in the backyard basically in a little shed.
Yes.
With no bed.
Yeah, it looks like just it's literally like a storage room with boxes. It looks horrible.
Let him sleep on the couch in her office.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Again, this doesn't make sense.
Oh, I know.
Okay. But it's a good thing he's there.
Yes, for what is going to happen
All right. Now we're getting to the part where it was actually good, actually interesting.
So
all the shit leading up to this made no fucking sense, but now we get a scene. I'll let you take it.
Oh, okay. Danvers has fetched Otis and has promised him the drugs and has brought him back to her house. To her house.
So that he can smoke some fucking heroin in her bathroom and then lead her to the ice caves.
Yes. Well, he told her on the map. I don't know if he was was she actually going to take him?
That was the quid pro quo that he needed it. Yeah, so
he at least showed her the highest point in the tunnels. So that's where the ice would be the thinnest.
So I guess they don't need him now.
Yeah,
good thing.
Like, I wouldn't take. I mean, he'd seem too frail. I wouldn't take him. He'd slow him down.
Yeah.
Then they get a knock at the door, and she thinks it's Navarro, but it's not.
It's Hank. Bum bum bum. And he barges in and lets it.
He got orders from Connolly to take Otis away. Yeah. That's what he says. Yes.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Let me call Connolly," and he's like, "No." And I don't.
Then he pulls a gun on.
Yeah.
And then Hess comes out, Otis comes out, and so Hank's got a gun on everybody now. And
yes, and Otis is like, I'm not going with anybody.
And he shoots. Hank shoots him in the shoulder, then moves in closer and shoots him in the back of the head as he's lying down.
Yes.
Which draws the attention of Pete, who comes in with his gun. And
I guess it was Hank getting ready to shoot Danvers?
Well, there was a lot. There was a lot in that scene going on, and basically Danvers is like, think about what's happening here before you decide to back him up, because Hank was asking Pete to help him deal with the body, and she's like, no, and it's this tug of war between who's more influential in your life, and he finally decides that he's gonna back up Danvers. And then Hank realizes that he's done, and he starts talking. Right? He says, "You need to know." What does he say? You needed to know.
Blood is blood.
Blood is
something.
Yeah, blood is blood. But there's something else about Danvers. There's something about Danvers. Anyways, then he moves his gun over to point at Danvers, and then
he does say he didn't kill Annie K, but he did move the body.
That's right.
Yeah,
he didn't kill her, but he moved the body.
Yeah.
And then he points his gun at Danvers, and then Pete shoots him.
And
kills him.
I'm assuming maybe he moved the body because the mine paid him to.
Absolutely. They didn't want to find it in the cave. There's something important in the cave, and that's where she died. So
yes. So now Hank is dead. Otis is dead, and
there's blood everywhere.
And they're like, "Oh, we need to call this in." And they're like, "No, don't call it in. We're gonna."
Navarro comes. And she's there before they decide to do anything.
Navarro's like, we can't call it in. We have to.
Don't tell Connolly because he'll ruin everybody's life.
Yeah, they're gonna stage it. They're going to move the bodies, which they leave to poor Pete to clean up.
But the way that they talked about it, they said it so quick. It's like, no, you guys aren't thinking this through. It's like, so he's gonna kidnap. What they're gonna make it look like is that Hank kidnapped Otis and then shot him. And then he got into an accident on his way back, but that's not going to explain the bullet hole in his head.
Yeah, I actually didn't understand.
I didn't get it.
I might need to rewatch the last 10 minutes or something.
I'll never watch it again.
And then I'm assuming that the two detectives are going to go to the cave.
They're going to go to the cave because they know where to go now.
Oh, well, Pete does everything.
Pete's is going to clean up his own dad's brains on the wall and deal with the bodies by himself in the dark. Okay. All right. I mean, we got one more episode to get through, folks. Thanks for watching and being with us on this journey.
Put your comments below on how you're feeling about season 4. I am enjoying the performances. I'm enjoying Jodie and Navarro. I feel like I haven't seen Jodie Foster in anything in a long time. So I'm trying to remember her as this type of character.
I am the opposite. I am so disappointed that they don't give Jodie Foster anything to do but be pissed off and bitter
and horny.
That's her two emotions. It's like she has no range, nothing.
That's true. You're right.
And she's such a better actor than that.
I just haven't seen her in anything in so long. I don't watch movies very often, so I don't know the last thing she was in.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fine. I take it back.
I hope this is enjoyable for our viewers. Us going from, we are excited about this to, God, can this thing be over yet?
Yes.
And I'm not influenced by all the hate that's coming out online. I see the headlines in my feed because, the device is listening. It knows that that's what we're interested in. So, you got to scroll past it. But I don't read any of that stuff. I don't follow anybody's critique of this. This is us reacting naturally to the show. At least I am,
Yeah. Yes, I am. I just don't like the manic pace of location.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the modern audience is not allowed to have an attention span anymore. These modern filmmakers they honestly believe that modern audiences will not pay attention if you linger on a person's face for longer than 10 seconds. They have to say something. Something has to happen. We have to change locations immediately.
But also after just watching Lord of the Rings, where everything lingered way too long.
Okay. We did just watch Return of the King, and that ending part where it's just like...
I just season 1, the location was a character in the show.
It was part.
And so any stillness where they're just kind of looking at stuff, it felt like,
Well, we talked about this too.
Yes, we have.
But I'm saying we talked about how even just going to the new location, they were sitting in the car, talking, and that told us so much about what's going on in those characters' minds. And then they got to the place and they did exactly what you hoped they would do in the place where they were at. And then they got back in the car. Yeah. And there's nothing like that in this.
Yeah. I feel like they lost so much. Like Alaska could have been such a great character in the show. And I feel like I don't really know anything aside from there's a lot of snow and it's dark.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really feel anything.
I think that
Bosch also makes LA a character.
Bosch.
Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, Bosch makes LA a character. You're absolutely right. LA is a beautiful, and gritty, horrible place, right?
And I felt like they really capture it.
Yeah.
I loved when one of the office scenes today, you could see the background actors, and I was just like, they just pass, and I just know there's the PAs on the side going, and then they walk.
Just telling them to walk.
And they tell them walk slower, or faster. And that just makes me laugh. Okay.
Speaking of background actors, and this is not their fault, but you see it all the time now where the background actors are not given enough evidence, or not given enough direction to react properly to what's happening in the foreground. If someone gets into a fist fight in the foreground, you're not going to be in the background going, looking away. You're going to be looking at the fight. Everyone's reacting to the fight.
Okay, yes, it's true.
Sorry, this has nothing to do with Night Country, but it's just while we're on the subject, we might as well.
Okay, yes. Well, having done background, it can be hard.
I'm sure. I'm not putting background down.
The good PAs tell you exactly what they need, and
everyone's eyes should be right here.
Yeah,
that's what's happening in the room.
All right, put your comments below. Be sure to like and subscribe. Stay tuned for when we start reviewing some sort of better show, hopefully.
Let's find a better show.
Or a better sport. We'll see what's coming soon.
No, we're not going to watch any more sports. Okay. The Super Bowl is tomorrow, and we're going to do a review, but we don't care about the Super Bowl at this point.
Yeah.
We've already said that.
Okay. Well,
sorry.
Like and subscribe and enjoy.